In Lesson 4.2, which we covered as our third lesson of Chapter 4, the title is Use Linear Equations in Slope-Intercept Form. So even when the directions in the lesson don't tell you to put it in slope-intercept form, we're going to do that for practice, because that's an important skill. In example 1, we're asked to write an equation of the line through the point 5, 1 with m equals 2. Well, since this is a point and a slope, we know we're going to be using point-slope form. So let's do that first. That's just like 4.3. Y minus blank equals blank times x minus blank. Slope always goes in front of x. And the points are always in xy order. So the x is 5, so it goes over here with the x. The y is 1, goes over here with our 1. So this would be our point-slope form that we got pretty familiar with in lesson 4.3. But we're going to go a step further because this is a lesson on slope-intercept form, which we also call y equals mx plus b form. And remember, y equals mx plus b just means we need a y by itself, so we're going to get our y by itself. So we're going to toss this minus 1 over here to the other side. And remember, the little trick for that is if I pick it up and move it from one side to the other, it goes from minus to plus or plus to minus. And in this case, it's going from minus to plus. So we just need to clean up this side. And we have the y by itself, but we can't leave that mess over there. So we're going to distribute the 2 onto the x and the 5. If the 2 is positive, everything inside stays the same sign. 2 times x is 2x. Keep the minus. 2 times 5 is 10. Still got that plus 1 hanging out. So we're going to combine these two like terms to get our final answer, y equals 2x minus 9. And that is the slope-intercept version of the point-slope form we wrote in the first step. For our next example, they didn't give us the slope, but they gave us 2 points. And remember, as we discovered in Chapter 3, anytime we have 2 points, we can find the slope. So let's go ahead and do that first this time. Doesn't matter which point you start with. Let's start with the one on the left. Just remember, the y always goes on the top, the x always goes on the bottom. And then you're going to come over here and take the other point, sub the 9 in over the 4 because the y goes over the x, and then simplify what you see. 2 minus 9 is negative 7. 3 minus 4 is negative 1. Negative 7 divided by negative 1 is positive 7, so our slope is 7. So now we have our slope. We can choose either point. Let's stick with the first one, even though everything's positive. 3, 2 has smaller numbers in it than the 4, 9 does, so we'll just run with that one. Starting with y minus blank equals blank times x minus blank. We're going to sub in our known values. Again, we know our slope always goes in front of x, so you can put that in the middle. And then if we're going to use 3, 2 as our point, the x is 3, the y is 2. So I put x equals 3 over here with x, y equals 2 over here with the y, and we've already written a point-slope form. But again, we're in slope-intercept, so let's focus on that. And remember, that just means we're going to solve for y. So we're going to have y equals, and let's distribute the 7 first. So we have 7 times x is 7x. 7's positive, so the minus stays minus. 7 times 3 is 21. And then I need to bring this minus 2 that was over with the y over to this side. And since it jumped the equal sign, it changes signs. The only thing left to do is to combine my like terms. So I have y equals 7x minus 19. And I'm finished with another one. We only have one more to look at in this lesson. And that's when you have one that looks like this. Example 3 asks us to write the equation of the line through f of negative 2 equals negative 2 and f of 4 equals negative 8. And I say through because remember, function notation is just a point in disguise. So let's translate our function notation into the point. And here's the good news, guys. Some of y'all are still messing this up. But remember, whatever's inside there is your x. Whatever's over here is your y. So when we translate this one, I write the first number I see as my x, that is the number inside the function notation, is x. And the output is the y. So I put a -8 over here. And I've got my 2 points set up. Start with my slope, which I know I'm going to need anyway, no matter what form I use. And this point we like because there's no way to mess it up if you just remember they have to stay together in the formula. And then we're going to put the -8 over its 4 over here, noting that we have a minus negative on top. We have -2 plus 8, which gives us 6. -2 minus 4 gives us -6. So our slope is -1. Well, not really any preference here, but let's look at 4, -8, because at least one of these numbers is positive, and we can see how that affects our equation. Well, we're going to start with point slope, because we always start with point slope, unless we're in the problems like we found in the early part of the chapter. We turn our problem back into the fill-in-the-blank problems we prefer to deal with. Remember, slope always goes in front of x, so I'm going to stick a -1 there. And the first number in the point I'm going to use is the x-coordinate, so I put the 4, which is my x-coordinate, with the x in the form. The second number is the y, so I put the -8 over here with the y. So we have a minus negative becomes a plus. So what we see is that when one of the coordinates is negative, kind of a shortcut you could learn really quick is go straight to y plus 8 instead of y minus negative. You can save yourself all that. You can go straight here if you prefer. Well, the only thing we have left to do is to get our equation in slope-intercept form. Let's double check, make sure I copied that right. Y plus 8 equals -1 times x minus 4. Looks like we're in good shape. So again, in order to put it in slope-intercept form, I have to isolate y. I want y by itself. So I'm going to pitch this plus 8 to the other side and keep the y by itself and distribute this -1 all in one step. -1 is just going to change the sign of everything inside because 1 times anything is itself. But remember, if this is negative, each thing inside changes signs. So inside I have a positive x, so now it's going to become -x. And inside I have a -4, so it's going to become +4. And then I can't forget bringing this plus 8 over, becomes a -8, and that takes it off the other side. So here's what I have. One more step to get our final answer, which is y equals -x minus 4. Again, if you still prefer it, you can keep those 1s in front of your x's, but I'm completely fine with you going straight to y equals -x minus 4. And that's another lesson done.